Nate, we're going to bring the old girl out of retirement. It is quite obsolete, but it's kind of interesting to note what's on this dude. The arms fold up. They fold back so it's easy to move around. Gigantic battery that weighs more than most of my other rigs put together. Now down here, that is an OSD. It's an on-screen display. And Crossfire Boys invented that. It's heavy and it's gigantic, but it works pretty good. Here's the receiver. It's pretty small. That's a ballpoint pen case. I thought you should know. Here's a old Pixhawk, and it used to be state-of-the-art just a few years ago. This is an expensive GPS and magnetometer. It's a compass and a GPS. It costs more than all this put together. It's for a high-end brain. Next guy up from this, a Cube. Works really well. This little thingy here switches when I flip a switch on the radio between that camera and the GoPro camera. The real old GoPro, like I don't know what they were. That's a Hero 4 black. Does 4K theoretically. But the thing about it is those wires right there send a signal back to this red thingy. The red thingy is a TV transmitter. So the switch I talked about switches from looking through that camera through looking right through the GoPro. And by the time the signal gets back from the GoPro, it's a little bit of a delay, where this camera is really short. You don't notice the delay. So you want to fly with this camera. This camera, you get to see out of it just so you know where it's pointing when you're pointing it somewhere. Way under here is a LiDAR. That thing there, it's kind of like radar but uses light. It'll sense the distance between the ground and itself. And this thing will hold altitude within inches, or just really good. Before, you can still hold altitude, but it has a barometer in here so that it senses the air pressure to know how high to go up and down. Not super accurate, but it works pretty good. This here is a little brain that controls this. This is a gimbal. This holds the camera dead straight, just like that, all the time. So when the copter's wiggling, the camera's always pointing perfectly straight. It also has a nifty feature in that it's always pointing perfectly level to the world. So it's got all kinds of sensors in here, just like this has sensors in it that keeps this thing flat to the world when it flies. So I can tilt this with the controller, so I can make it point up and down to look. I can look it straight down. And then over here on top, I kind of hacked this guy with a wire in here, so I can turn the thing on and off, or snap pictures on and off when I'm flying. The reason I'm talking about this old bird is because I just plugged it in and had to update a bunch of garbage, and it may not work ever again. So basically we're having a maiden flight today, which means complete carnage and destroys everything and breaks the arms off, and who knows where you even get these propellers anymore. Or it flies just fine. So we are all invited to watch the carnage. Go. Okay. So, gonna get along with our maiden. So here's the transmitter. It has telemetry on it. It's booting up. It tells me how many satellites I'm collecting. Right now, 7. The voltage in the copter is having trouble, but it's about 16 volts. The altitude is 154 meters. I believe that's above sea level. We want above ground level for any decent purposing. So we'll get more telemetry from the OSD. The OSD is that thingy right there, remember? Up on that expensive satellite dish NOAD whack thing is green lights. That means there's a bunch of satellites talking to it, and I need at least 6. That red little light in the middle is a safety button you push. That way you don't lose any fingers. So, the gimbal we talked about, put my hat on. When this switch, you can see the camera moving up and down, and I got it set up so it moves up and down nice and slow and smooth. But we can go over an area and look straight down at things, and it's kind of level with the earth, so it's really straight down. And I think we're going to try and fly this thing, but it looks like, okay, here's our TV set. So if I make the camera move, nothing's moving here. That's telling me that it's the little camera up front. See that one? Ooh. Pull this switch up, and it's the GoPro. I guess we'll turn the GoPro on before it'll ever work. So there's the GoPro camera vision. And this TV set is just old as I am. Has all kinds of telemetry. Down here is GPS coordinates. It's all stacked on each other and garbled. I have to go through all this stuff and recalibrate things. All we care is if it flies. There's our 16, 17 satellites. This tells us a little bit about how strong the reception is. And see, it says stab. That has nothing to do with the knife. Change these modes, and it says AC tele, you do, and figure out what the switches do. Inside of this radio is a lady. If I turn the volume up, you can hear her tell me things. Stabilize. So that's stabilize mode. That means if you let off the sticks, it kind of sits there. Some modes, if you let off the sticks and you're going left, it just keeps going left until you make it go right. Scary stuff. Altitude hold. Altitude hold is the barometer holding an altitude. Over here, the lady doesn't know what to say, but I know that's the LiDAR keeping it at a certain level. Position hold uses the satellites to hold it dead in space. It's like parking it in the air. Drift allows me to fly this thing around with just this one stick, and it flies like an airplane. So it makes me look like I have some sort of skills when I fly it. It's very advantageous. Okay, let's put this on the ground. And this area, I call it the maiden range, where I maiden helicopters, because those branches keep it from going into outer space if something goes wrong. Push the safety button. It quit squeaking and bawling. The switch here turns the GoPro on, and so if I flip it, I get a little red light up there saying that it's recording. So we'll record the carnage. We're putting it in stabilize. Clear prop. Doesn't look good. Nope. It's got to go back on the bench. Looks like the ESCs need to be calibrated. See how some are turning slower than others? So we're going to disarm it. Spend about 25 or 26 more hours calibrating the thing. That's what we do. Okay, it's next week sometime. Found a few errors in the code. We're recording. A little bit different telemetry now. Clear prop. Oh, why are we not continuing to record? We're probably taking pictures. Yeah, 20 megapixels wide. We don't care. We'll go up and take a picture. Clear prop. So, looks like I gotta what a slug. Put it in altitude hold. See if it shoots to the moon. Okay, so now the barometer's holding its altitude fairly well. Let's see if the LiDAR works. Might work. The way I find out is if I fly over something, it'll raise its altitude. Like if we fly over this bush, it should go up. Yep, see that? And it's gonna go back down. Ooh, that's scary. So if we test things like the yaw, it should stay pretty flat. The wind's kind of blowing it a bit. Now take a picture or two just for the fun of it. A lot of telephone wires in my way. It's supposed to just be a cruiser, so it's soft for the camera. It looks like it needs a little tuning. But we're gonna fly over at Nate's place tomorrow and take pictures of his septic system. Good times. GoPro stop video.